I play Skyrim. I like to feel like I'm part of the whole thing. When I was reviewing Skyrim, I talked about that no one person is going to have the same adventure as you. So that's what I'm going to be demonstrating here in this next video. I'm going to sort of show you highlights of what I've been going through, some of the things I've seen and played on my first 50 hours of playing Skyrim. So I'm interested in seeing what you've done that's different to what I've done, when there's been choices to make in the game, what choices you've made that have been different to mine. Please leave your comments in the box below. So this is some of the cool, interesting and downright bizarre stuff that I've come across in my first 50 hours of Skyrim. These are the Big Daddy D's Skyrim Chronicles, or Misadventures, if you like. So, from the start I decided not to bugger about with the sliders and just have my character as he is already. I chose a red guard, mainly because he looks pretty badass, and I give him the name of Oriel Threepwood. Oriel is a name suggested by my wife, and it fits the character well, I think. Threepwood is obviously a reference to the main character of The Secret of Monkey Island, Guybrush Threepwood, which is what I've been playing on prior to getting Skyrim. Besides, think of the potential conversations. My name is Oriel Threepwood, and I am a mighty adventurer. I used to be an adventurer like you, until I took an arrow to the knee. So anyway, after narrowly escaping the executioner's axe and fleeing Helga with the Imperial soldier, Hadvar, we decided to part ways. However, I bump into him again whilst walking through the forest, and so we decided to walk to the nearest province, Riverwood, together. During this time I extended an invitation to join the Imperial forces. Not much of a good first impression, considering they were going to chop my head off earlier. Whilst walking through the forest I encountered a really bad case of wolves, but luckily for me, wolves are flammable. After sorting them out with a quick blast of fire magic, an unfortunate rabbit ends up meeting the same fate, adding a point to my bunnies slaughtered stat. Seriously? During this time, I decided for my character to go with one-handed weapons and use the other hand for magic, mainly destruction. But later on also using healing and conjuration spells as well. I also start using my bow, as I love picking off enemies while sneaking. I try out two-handed weapons at one point, but don't really like it. Upon hitting Riverwood, my Imperial friend asked me to go and visit the Jarl of Whiterun to tell him about the dragon that attacked Helgen. I also meet up with the town's blacksmith, who teaches me how to forge a knife, sharpen it, tan leather, and make a helmet. Yay! I am now a one-man industry as far as making small daggers and warrior accessories are concerned. It's at this point that I decide that I'm going to focus my leveling up on smithing, so I can make more and more new weapons and armour. I also speak to the owner of the Riverwood Trader, where I pick up my first real quest, to retrieve a stolen gold dragon claw. Whilst on my way to Whiterun to visit the Jarl, I pass a small farm with a windmill, which would have made for a nice picturesque scene if it wasn't for the bloody big giant attacking everyone. A quick couple of spells and weapon strikes and the big guy keels over dead, although admittedly the small band of warriors attacking him probably did most of the work. Having said that, the female of the group is impressed enough with my skill, which earns me an invitation to join the Companions, Skyrim's equivalent of the Fighters Guild from the previous Elder Scrolls games. So I get to Whiterun, which is a town full of guards that bizarrely enough sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and will often reprimand you for the Montgomery Burns-esque misdemeanour of lollygagging. Anyway, whilst I'm here I pop up to the palace named Dragon's Reach to meet the Jarl. He introduces me to his mage when I'm asked to retrieve a mystical dragon stone. Luckily for me, this is hidden away in the same place as the stolen gold claw, a huge mountain temple called Bleakfalls Barrow. This will become the first of many spooky dungeons packed with undead warriors called Draugrs, giant spiders, bandits, and Indiana Jones style traps that I keep setting off by accident, mainly because I am a bloody idiot. So, after making some things dead, and some things deader than they already were, I return to Whiterun to drop off the Dragonstone, only to get there just in time for an attack by a dragon. My first weekend of playing Skyrim concludes with me killing my first dragon and picking up my first dragon shout, a sort of force push style attack. So now everyone is calling me the Dragonborn, and I've been asked to go off and see some old fellas called the Greybeards. In the meantime, I've got all these dragon bones and dragon scales, so I take it that I can make some dragon armour with these later on. I also pick up my first follower, Lydia, who was assigned to me by the Jarl of Whiterun to become my housecarl, a bodyguard if you like. The Jarl also bestows me with the honorary title of Thane of Whiterun, which is nice of him. However, this also makes the start of a rather difficult relationship with Lydia. So it's off I go to the town of Iverstead. After having a quick look around, I end up speaking to a couple of guys stood by the bridge that leads to the 7,000 steps I must walk up in order to reach the Greybeards. One of these two men asks me to take some supplies up to the top for him, as his knees are knackered, basically. Hey, why not? I was going there anyway. I get my first near-death experience during the epic climb to the top, as a bloody great snow troll pops up and starts taking off my energy, one huge slice at a time. Luckily, these guys have a particular weakness to fire spells. I decide to make a mental note of carrying more healing potions with me at this point, and perhaps investing more time in alchemy as well, so I can create more potions for use later on. So, upon meeting the Greybeards, they tell me a bit more about dragon shouts and what being the Dragonborn means. They then send me off to find a horn of something, I forget the name. In the meantime, I end up getting distracted by a few of the side quests. The first of these is called In My Time of Need, where I choose to kill the bandit, Kimatu, and help out the Redguard woman, Sardia. Did I pronounce those names right? And did anyone else do the opposite of this and turn her in? Let me know. The side quests continue to keep me distracted, in a good way of course, and wanting to get levelled up. I end up visiting the college in Winterhold, where I work through some of the quests there as well. In the process, I pick up some new magic, and even end up killing my third dragon there too. It's surely not a good idea for a dragon to attack a college full of wizards and mages, especially when one of them is the Dragonborn. The big scaly one ends up dying almost as soon as it hits the ground. Lydia's starting to piss me off at this point, as she has a rather unusual habit of walking straight into booby traps, where she just watched me get straight past them with no problem. Lydia? Seriously? Seriously? She's even been killed a couple of times in battle too, but I've been feeling so guilty that I've just ended up reloading a previous save so that I've still got her with me. Indeed, bloody Lydia ends up becoming a regular phrase mentioned in our house. I've also been enchanting some of my weapons as well, slapping on fire and frost damage to a couple of axes and swords, and sticking a soul capture onto an elven bow which I rename as Soul Stealer. At this rate I'll be making Legolas and Robin Hood look like pansies. Anyway, I've put it off enough, so let's go looking for this bloody horn the Greybeards want. But when I visit the cave that the horn is meant to be in, I find a note there instead, telling me to visit Riverwood again, and rent out a room at the inn. Huh? It turns out that the lady innkeeper is in fact part of a secret group of dragon slayers called the Blades, and that they need my help. She gives me the horn, missus, so that I can carry on with the main storyline, which I return to the Greybeards later on. I'm glad people don't reference how long it takes you to do things. Ah, you've returned the horn, although we did ask you to do this about 6 months ago! During my return to Riverwood, I met a local villager, Sven, who asked me to help split up a potential couple by delivering to the lady a nasty letter that he'd faked. Being the honest type, I dobbed him in, and based on this the elf bodyguard agrees to follow me, potentially giving me an arrow-shooting bodyguard. Sorted. But before I can tell Lydia that it's time we parted ways, mainly so I can hang around with my new buddy, our partnership soon dissolves just as quickly as it starts when a dragon attacks Riverwood, killing my new elven friend in the process. No! Anyway, I now have the funds to buy the house in Whiterun. Just as well, seeing as I had even more dragon bones and scales to lug around with me after the attack at Riverwood. I've also got some extra coin left over to help me decorate my new crib. Later on, I'm visiting another town, Falkreath, where a blacksmith tells me about this dog that's gone missing. I end up bumping into the dog on the outskirts of town, where he asks me to help him. Yes, the dog talks, with a slightly comedic voice as well. The dog belongs to a Daedric prince who asked me to retrieve an axe for him. This turns out to be a rather simple quest, but I'm in no rush to return the axe, mainly because the dog is immortal and can't be killed as he's actually a quest-related character. He certainly ends up being more useful than Lydia. But after a while the relentless barking starts to piss me off, so I return the axe and the dog to the prince. I could have kept the axe if I killed the dog, but I'm not that cruel. Besides, the prince ends up giving me a helmet that improves my speechcraft by 40+, as well as better prices when buying and selling goods. So I make a habit of wearing this rather daft looking helmet when I go shopping. What a shame that doesn't work in real life. It is interesting to see the different routes that can be taken in this game. My wife and my 2 eldest sons play Skyrim as well, and even though there are some quests that we've all ended up doing, we've all pretty much gone off in different directions and done different things. My eldest son, for example, went and got himself married and became a werewolf. Not as a result of him getting married, I don't think. I scoffed at the idea of getting married at first. It seemed like a rather silly and somewhat nerdy thing to do. However, married life does have its benefits in the land of Skyrim. Your loved one can make you a home-cooked meal that increases your health, stamina and magicka, and you'll also get 100 gold coins in pocket money each day. Sorted. So, I decided it's time to make an honest woman of my Lydia. Sure, she's been a pain in the arse at times, but we've been through a lot together. I mean, how many women will charge into a haunted room with you whilst carrying twice her body weight in dragon bones? That's my Lydia. However, there is no option to marry Lydia in the game. Boo! It's a shame too, as during this point in the game I've levelled up my smithing ability to a level of 100. Here's a hint, just keep making iron daggers, so that I can make dragon armour, baby. Me and Lydia have both got ourselves a full set of dragon armour on now, and we make a lovely couple. Oh well. My eldest son married the lady shopkeeper at the Riverwood Trader, but all she ever talks about is that bloody golden claw, even when you're married. Bugger that! Apparently the new DLC coming out for the game will give you the option to marry Lydia after you've bought the house in Whiterun. Finally, no more living together in shame. But even with the DLC on the horizon, it's too late for me and Lyd. I've already met somebody else. Whilst visiting Riften, I met Mjol the Lioness, the town's resident hero.
Hey baby, how's it going?
It's my great beast to be slain, and my fortune comes from gratitude and trust.
I got a great beast for you to slay, baby. Oh yeah.
It was lost years ago in a Werewolf.
Oh, that's a shame. You want to get it for you?
I feel almost as defenseless as a newborn.
Oh no.
I don't think I'll ever be able to find a replacement.
Well, I'll tell you what, girl. I can find it for you, and then you can do something for me.
I could
Wink,
never
wink.
undertake such a treacherous journey. It would be a fool's errand.
Or a honey dude's errand.
In your eye, and I know
You can see that spark in my eye. Oh, I can see that spark in your eye, baby.
Tread carefully, friend. Those same ruins almost took my life.
Hey, no problem. I'm the Dragonbone, baby. I'm the Dragonbone. Yeah. Damn. I'm tapping that later.
And after a brief time spent together, which includes getting her sword back for her, we end up getting married. This is probably the geekiest, most nerdy thing I've ever done in my life. Other than talking about it on this video, of course. So, Mjol and I move into my house in Whiterun, which is a much more cheery place than Riften. The problem is that Mjol brings her male friend, Aaron, with her. I don't like him. He spends his days following her around like a lovesick puppy. Is there a way of getting rid of him, too? I better not catch them up to anything when I return home after a hard day's adventuring. Although, I've heard there's a gentleman named Sir Jeremy of Kyle who can help you with such things. Me and Lydia finally part ways, so now I've got her sitting in my home at Whiterun, where she spends her days munching on bread, for some reason, and telling me how honoured she is to see me whenever I go to my chest on my bed. Like a boss. Hey, that works for me. How do I say like a boss then?
Well, no, you use it.
Just tell me how I say it then, smartass.
When you do some, you go like a boss.
Like a... Alright, let me say it
When
then.
you do something epic.
I have done something epic.
What, looking in the chest or going to bed? That's not epic.
Shut up. You married that silly woman from Riverwood Trader and all she talks about is that bloody golden claw.
Yeah, that's why I started a new save Barrow.
Like a boss. I'm keeping that bit in, actually.